snowing. This is one day after we did all the raking and the mowing. And because of this weather, it means we need to go to
Botanical Garden.
It's so pretty. Van's not pretty. So, look, I look non-existent.
So this is Sapodilla. It is an edible fruit, tropical. It is very delicious, tastes like brown sugar, and it's, I don't know, maybe, I guess like the size of 2 baseballs. And there's a guava. I don't know what kind of guava, but it's a guava.
And that's the fern we're going to plant in the new garden area?
At least a variety of it. It looks similar to the one we're getting. So it's a maidenhair fern, walking fern specifically, and yeah, it's got like a hand shape to it. A heartleaf philodendron. Usually people have these in their houses and their leaves are a lot smaller, but this one is free to do whatever it wants to do. And there's
Is that part of it right there?
Yeah. There's a golden pothos right there. Once it actually latches onto something, this is another indoor plant commonly. Once it latches onto something, it releases hormones that make its leaves get really huge. And oh, see, there's a huge one back there.
Oh yeah. That too?
Yep.
Looks like a banana leaf though.
Yep, that's it.
Whoa.
Okay. So this is a Noni. I believe it's native to Hawaii. And see, here's the fruit. These ones are a little strange looking. Usually the whole thing is more like this. And it's also known as the vomit fruit and the famine fruit. So it tastes like vomit, at least it's said to taste like vomit and like cheese and feet. It's supposed to be disgusting, but it's super nutritious for you. And the reason it's called the famine fruit is because in Hawaii or in some other islands, when there was a famine and all the other fruits and vegetables died, this is all they had to eat. So it's really unfortunate that they just had to eat vomit fruit, but it kept them alive.
That's a coconut?
Yep. Here's a rack of bananas. This is a banana flower. You can actually eat these. These are the young bananas. When the banana flower is more young, it's usually a lot bigger. You can peel back the petals and eat these. It takes a few more steps, but it's pretty good.
Your grandma made banana flower, what? Just banana flower?
Banana flower salad. And so with this banana, as you can see, it starts at the base and it goes really tall. You can see it starts at the base and goes really tall. And there's another smaller one right there. So what a banana will do is it will grow from the ground up, and then it will have fruit. And at that point it won't have any more fruit, so you have to cut it down to the ground. But another one will come into its place and also give you fruit. And so you get a constant flow of fruit all throughout the year. Cacao.
Oh.
And you can actually see the cacao pods back there at the top. They're a little.
Oh yeah.
They're old. Clearly, were not taken to be eaten. Spanish moss. It's a type of tillandsia. Right here. So now pineapples do not go in trees. called a sausage tree. It's kind of a funny name. I don't see any right now, but off of these low-hanging branches, there's these long sausages that hang off.
Yeah.
It's pretty strange.
Very mature specimen. I love the moss on all the rocks.
Oh, there's one. That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
sausage right there.
There's a sausage. It's a woody sausage. I think the corpse flower was like right here somewhere.
So this is one of my favorite trees right here on Earth. It's called the Jabuticaba,
Oh.
or Jabuticaba, however you want to say it. You can see the bark is peeling a little bit, and it does that regularly, but that's not the most amazing thing about this. I'm actually not sure what season it does it, but during one of the seasons, you'll see it's the actual wood itself, not on the branches. The wood itself will have a bunch of flowers all over it. And then once they get pollinated, the whole thing will be covered in fruit, which are edible. It's also known as the Brazilian grape. And they are said...
Jabuticaba. Is it from Djibouti?
No. Edible, they're said to taste like grapes, but they're a lot bigger. The only reason you don't see them in the store all the time is because they have really short shelf life.
So pretty.
Selaginella, that's what it is. There's a better example right here. Selaginella, another very, very ancient plant. A lot of our houseplants, actually, I would say probably all of our houseplants are tropical plants, so there's a lot of recognizable things in here. Here we've got Dumbcane. It's called that because people would eat it and it's poisonous, and it would make it so that their mouths were all swollen so they couldn't say anything, so they would call people dumb. Here's a Dracena.
Ah, yes. The Dracena.
There's tons and tons of different kinds of begonias. This is a favorite among houseplant growers. The
Yeah.
escargot. This is also a type of begonia right here. You can see the flowers. The flowers on most begonias tend to be very similar. Here's another different type of begonia. And another one right down here. Here is a really fun, interesting type of tropical fern called the Crocodile Fern. And you can see why it's called that. It seems to have scales on it.
It's really shiny. Definitely looks like crocodile skin. That's cool.
Here it is. This is the corpse flower in Omalpophalis.
Oh.
Difficult word to say. There you go. You can see Omalpophalis. And this specific one is one of the biggest flowers, though technically it's a grouping of thousands of flowers. And so what's really interesting about it is it will send out this flower, but before that it needs to get energy from somewhere. So it'll send out what looks like one tree with like 3 separate parts and a bunch of leaves on it, but it's actually just one gigantic leaf. And it will collect its energy for years and years, and then the whole thing will die to the ground and this huge flower will come up. And it smells like a rotting corpse because what it uses to pollinate it is flies. So it'll send out a bunch of flies that'll come and pollinate it. It's kind of gross, but it's interesting. And it actually has male and female flowers on it, so it can pollinate itself.
Henna! Lawsonia enormis. This is what helps me keep my hair from being gray. Is this an orchid?
That's a vanilla.
This?
Yep.
That
So-
whole thing?
Yep. Oh no, not this. The vine. You can actually see there's a tag right here. It is a type of orchid.
I was right. Only because it looks like orchid. Like,
Yep.
oops, sorry. It literally,
You
I
can
just
see
said
it going
sorry
all
to
the way
the
up
plant.
there. Once it almost starts fermenting, you can cut it off and use it as vanilla. And Anthurium, another very common house plant. And this is the specific, very common species that you will find in people's houses. But if we look around us, we'll probably find some very different forms that are much more rare, especially because the Anthurium family is such a huge family of flowers. So this is one of the most magnificent flowers in the tropical rainforest. It's called the Metanilla. I don't know, it's just so impressive. It sends out these huge racks of flowers. only one of them is open right now, but all of these will soon open. And then once those flowers are done, they'll eventually give way to these magenta berries. And I mean, you can see my hand compared to it. It's a pretty massive thing. With tons of little papayas on them, right there. Floss tree. As you can see, the wood it's got these massive spikes on it. But that's not all this tree has to offer, and it's a beautiful sight to behold.
So cool. It's like fantasy seaweed.
So this is cinnamon. So this is the stuff that you eat.
It looks more like fuchsia in person.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this leaf. How cute.
Now what's amazing about ginger is that there's so many different varieties. There's these ones that twist around, and there's more taller ones, more curly leaf ones. So this is one of the more epic plants. It's a carnivorous plant, the Picher Plant right here.
There it is.
This one's connected to here. Not sure of the exact name, but here it is. So a bug will come to it thinking that it's a flower or it smells something sweet on it or one of those different things, and it'll go onto this lip and it'll slip in, and there's a pool of acid inside.
You can
which
see
you
it.
can kind of see in there. There might be some dead bug matter in there.
Because it has these interesting tendrils at the end of
Yep.
the leaves.
I have this growing at my house, and it grabs onto the branches and pulls itself up through the tree. This is what they look like, rocks. They're camouflaged. There you go. I don't have my jacket on. It's snowing.
From the desert to the Arctic.
So it's winter, kind of. It's technically fall, but
It's actually November right now.
yeah. It's snowing, and most things are dead or cut down to the ground, so I can't actually tell what most things are. But whatever I can tell, I'll try to tell. So I'm not exactly sure what, and I'll go look at it, but this is it's a coniferous plant, sort of, but it loses its leaves, so it's deciduous. It's really interesting because usually plants like this don't, like pines or spruces or I don't know, anything else. But these specific ones do lose their leaves. Now, the ones that I know of that do are redwoods, dawn redwoods, tamaracks or larches, and I'm blanking.
That's okay.
Pond cypresses. So
Oh,
here,
should we see what it is?
It looks like a dawn redwood.
I'm gonna guess tamarack. No, you're right. It does look like redwood leaves. You're right.
Kind of allium. This also.
Oh yeah, that allium is still green.
Yeah. This one you can see the seed heads. So many seeds.
Okay, this right here has got to be Queen Anne's lace or fennel, right?
Yeah, it's gotta be one of the two. Queen Anne's lace is wild carrot, and it's a biannual, which means that it is only alive for 2 years, but it'll usually self-seed itself, so it's always there. So the first year, the Queen Anne's lace will just have leaves, and the second year it'll have leaves and then flowers. And that's kind of like foxgloves and delphiniums are the same. And the Queen Anne's lace is edible, and I did one time pick one of them. You can really only eat the one that's in its first year, so it doesn't have flowers yet because it's less woody. And so I picked one and I made a soup out of it. It was good. It's a carrot.
Yeah, it did. It tasted like carrot broth. Light. Very light broth.
It's not that cold yet, even though it Feels pretty cool to me.
That looks like an oak of some sort.
It is. So it's a red oak. This is the little native garden. Oh. It's an oak. So oaks are great, but they're also kind of annoying in the sense that they're all wonderful and everything until winter comes around. They tend to not lose their leaves until they push new leaves out in the spring. And so you have to deal with fall leaves 2 times in the year, in the fall and in the spring. Why can't you just drop your leaves earlier?
It's pretty cool though. If you just listen, you can hear the snow falling on it.
So we live in a temperate climate, not a temperate rainforest like they have in Seattle and Vancouver, just a regular temperate climate. I mean, a lot of America is temperate, so a lot of these trees are not just up here, but also down all the way until Louisiana.
My phone's dying, so we can't really do much more, but yep. What is it? A weeping hornbeam?
Weeping pine.
Weeping pine.
You can see the pine goes on
it. Anyway, thanks for spending this snowy day with us at the Botanical Gardens in this tropical climate.
Sure.
Grapevine. I think the grapevine has won. On to the rescue.